now talking to former Miami Marlins pitcher Justin Nicolino. Justin, what's up, Bo?
Hey, how you guys doing, man? You guys got me fired up. I mean, it's late. I feel like I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight. You guys got me fired up. All this talk you guys got going on.
Well, I talk about a lot of things. I was talking about the underwear I bought on Amazon. I think Justin, I don't know if you're a baseball player. You were wearing cups. You were wearing something. Hey, you can go if your nuts stick to your leg. They have like a coddled, boxer brief where you can stick your nuts in like a sleeve and it doesn't stick to your legs. I mean, you should go check it out. It's $30. I know Joba said it's a little too expensive, but I mean, Joba's got all this money. I mean, why would he care?
I'm not paying $30 for just to keep my fucking nuts next to my stuff. No, I'm good.
It keeps it from sticking to the leg.
I wear onesies and it's fine. I'm good.
I mean, unless it's gonna keep everything warm down there, I'm not gonna pay $30 for it.
Oh, no. You guys are being cheap now.
I pay $30 for a onesie, dog. Come on,
yeah.
Let's be real,
dude. You will never catch me wearing a onesie. Never.
I wear these in public, dog.
Dude, I wear my boxers in public.
No, you don't.
You don't believe me? I definitely do. I walk out in my boxers and a t-shirt to the mail on a Sunday, on a Saturday.
Oh.
I am outside. That's public. There's people walking around with their kids. I'm in my boxers.
I'll go to the store in a onesie.
Out. No, I'll go in my boxers at a store. I don't.
You will not go to the store in your boxers.
You want to bet? Do you want to bet? Do you want me to videotape it?
I would love for this show to grow. I wouldn't love for you to be arrested. That's all I'm saying.
They're boxer briefs. Nobody's gonna know if they're boxer briefs or boxer, shorts. I would absolutely. You want to bet? I'm gonna do it. Watch me do it. We're gonna record it. Speedy, you're gonna come.
I'm not involved in this.
You are not involved in this. You are coming.
I am not involved in this.
I will be. You got to push me. You got to push me like I was a child.
No. This is your and Java's thing.
No, this is our thing. We're a team.
I'm not involved in any of that nonsense.
We are a team. You see, Justin,
I'm not involved.
I'm trying to teach these guys how to be a team. Okay, we are a team. It's a threesome, right, Speedy?
No,
sharing is caring. No. We share each other.
I mean, if you put it that way, I mean, hey, you guys are a threesome. You're a team. You gotta work together.
Yeah, you gotta grab one.
It would be an orgy because there's more than 3 of us.
Well,
so
that's true. Well, there you go. And we could share that orgy, right, Speedy?
No.
What? You don't like orgies?
I'm not involved in any of this nonsense.
This is great.
I don't care.
This is great.
We'll
call it the jobber in the mouth orgy.
No.
And we'll add to the orgy.
No.
I mean, we have fish. That'll be 4.
All right, good. You have right, yeah, there, 4. Perfect.
There we go. A foursome.
Foursome. You, Jabba, Fish, and Owen. Perfect.
No, but we have to add you. You have to be there.
Nope.
You have to grab my balls, and I'll grab yours.
No.
Well, that went too far.
Well, there's a lot of things
already gone too far.
Anyways, Justin, we've been waiting patiently for the last couple of minutes to get you on. So I want to get into free agency, and it's been crazy. This Soto story has really been growing legs. Now you're hearing that he wants a 15 or more year contract. What do you say from this? How does this work for baseball if this guy gets a 15-year deal?
I mean, obviously, it changes the game. I mean, he's already changed the game. Shohei's already changed the game, but from just being a hitter alone and how young he is, and I mean, Java knows this as well. Like, he's a unicorn. Like, he's literally that unicorn of the game of baseball. To where the moment he stepped in the big leagues, but he put on a professional baseball uniform, he's just changed the game. And I think this. It's crazy when you say that, like 15 years and all this money, right? Like, because then you look at all these college kids that are getting millions of dollars to play, college sports. And I think just alone, all of this, the 15, what if it's 15 years for 600 million or whatever the case may be. I mean, I think it's just, he's a once in a generational player to where, who knows if this will ever happen again like this, but we can't really say that because look what Ohtani has done and look what he is now doing to the game of baseball as well.
Yeah, and two, for you, like, what I love about guys that are I don't know if I would consider you a journeyman or whatever, but you kind of went here, there, minor leagues, went over and played. Like, you got to see like so many different facets from the minor leagues to the big leagues to being in Taiwan and doing all that other stuff. Like, was there ever a guy or was there like any aspect of what it was where you saw them like they can be that unicorn or they can help a big league club? Or because you got so many dynamics of what you've seen of dudes that were in the minor leagues that didn't get their spot because they maybe were behind somebody and they were in the wrong organization, right?
Yeah.
And then you get to the big leagues, you do that, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I wasn't good enough, maybe I wasn't. Then you go do this and you see from a different aspect, which I know nothing about. I can't talk about that. So I'd like you to touch on that, like seeing it from like 3 different levels.
Yeah. So to speak on like seeing somebody that we as a sports fan, myself included, I was teammates with Jose Fernandez, right? Like died really young. So you want to talk about a unicorn and one of the guys that could have potentially got paid a lot of money before it was cool getting paid a lot of money, right? Like before it was the new norm. But like that was one of those things to where it was like, you leave the field, you watch highlights of his outing, right? I watched it in person, and it'd be like, oh my God, like I'm sitting in the dugout watching this like live, seeing this, but then I'm in the clubhouse with him, and he was a kid, right? Like everyone's got different stories and stuff like that, but he legit was that kid to where like, his toughest times of his entire life was escaping Cuba, right? So like I got to see a very unique perspective of a guy that is a big leaguer, potentially was going to make a lot of money, but he was that unicorn, right? Like I also got to play with Ichiro. I got to play with so many, unbelievable guys, but like one of those guys that was like a generational talent that we didn't get to see was Jose. Well, then now, I play in Taiwan and I play in Dominican and have these different perspectives of baseball, man. And it's really crazy to see of like what you're saying, the guys that you played with that, maybe you thought you were better than, but they ended up getting the shot and you're over in Taiwan, Dominican, or I played in Mexico and for me, that whole journey, like I consider myself a journeyman because like one, I didn't want to, for the longest time, I just didn't want to give it up. Like that was the thing. I didn't want to walk away. Right. Like made it to the big leagues at 23, had some success, was sent up and down, and was able to really see the difference of, the cliche thing is saying is like, yeah, it's hard to get to the big leagues, but it's harder to stay. And that's what it really was like, because I could have gone, if I would have left, affiliated ball in 2019, I could have made a career in Mexico or maybe stayed over in Japan or Korea. But I think the coolest part about seeing all this stuff now is guys that had a shot in the big leagues, but it didn't work out, go over to the overseas in Japan and Korea, ball out, and actually end up coming back and getting paid, money again. So like being able to see that, is really unique. I was hoping for that type of opportunity, but I was involved in an era where it was old school, it was changing to new school, and now we just have this different, game of baseball.
Yeah. So I wanted to.
He was in like that middle era. Like,
Yeah.
sorry to cut you off, Speedy, but he was like in the middle of, like, you had some guys coming back.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to switch over to what it is now. And like you were like right in the middle of it because I saw it as I was getting out of the game.
Yeah.
And you kind of just got caught in between with what it was for them, either paying guys, getting these new guys, and having the guys coming from overseas back. And we've seen guys be successful doing that. And I've played with a bunch of them.
Yep.
But it's just like you have to decide as a player. It's like, do I want to keep doing the back and forth, or am I going to move on and be like, all right, it is what it is. I did my journey, I'm done. And Speedy, you can probably touch on this and ask him the question too.
Yeah,
but
I was going to relate to the deferred money too.
Go ahead.
I was going to relate to the deferred money because you played obviously with the Marlins, who are a small market organization, and I think a lot of these reports with all the what the Dodgers are doing, like it's going to hurt these other teams that aren't going to spend a lot of money. So, like, what are your thoughts to like the way they've implemented it? Do you think it's going to like be a new change in baseball?
I think I forget what I was listening to today, and like it was saying like if it's going to affect other teams or I forget what it was, but the way I look at it is every organization is a billion dollar organization. They have money to spend. Like there is money to spend. It's just some of these owners are frugal with their money. Like they don't want to spend their money. And it's like, how can you be mad at a team like the Dodgers? One, okay, yeah, they're a big market team, right? But how can you be mad? They're trying to win championships, right? They're trying to win championships, and so are other teams. But it's like, hey, if they're going to defer this money and get the players they want, I mean, what's wrong with that? You know, I think that's the part of where this game has changed. And like back to what Joba was saying too, is like I was in that middle era, right? Like, and I think why part of me getting pushed out a little bit is when all the data analytical stuff started taking off. This is when it was really new. So it kind of pushed me out because I had the pitchability and stuff like that, but it didn't line up with what these teams are looking for because like, you know, the Dodgers are going out. They're signing these guys. They have these gurus, these nerds that are literally dissecting these guys left and right any way they can to get them to be like, hey, yeah, you know what? This guy's worth all the money that we're going to pay him.
You know, it's interesting. And by the way, we are talking to former Miami Marlins pitcher Justin Nicolino. You know, it's interesting how baseball works. And I have been saying this over and over and over again about Rob Manfred. I think he's ruined the game of baseball. He took over for Bud Selig. The whole Pete Rose thing, sitting down with Pete Rose. Pete Rose is gone now. He should be right into the Hall of Fame. Now, being that he's gone, he should be in this round. I don't understand why he's been sitting and waiting to get in, just as much as I look at Ohtani, and Ohtani was a part of that whole betting scheme, and he got away with it. And because he's a superstar and he's in the game of baseball and he stands for something, baseball has protected certain players over the years. But what makes no sense to me, Alex Rodriguez, he was a superstar in baseball. And Bud Selig and everybody tried to burn the stake with this guy. This guy was the face of one of the faces of baseball. He was one of the best players in baseball because Bud Selig didn't like him and certain people, certain executives didn't like Alex Rodriguez. His name came out and he was thrown to the wolves. Why is baseball? Why are these owners? Why are these guys like Bud Selig and Rob Manfred spinning the wheel and making the deal? What in your eyes? I mean, I've asked Joba this, Justin. In your eyes, why was he staked? Why was a guy like Alex Rodriguez staked and guys like David Ortiz wasn't? Or now you're seeing a guy like Shohei Ohtani not being staked after really knowing what was going on when it came to that betting scheme.
Honestly, I just think they pick and choose who they want to make, like, be the villain. Like, I really do. I think they just have, like, okay, let's put it this way. I mean, look what's going on with Bauer, right? Like, I mean, Bauer is, you know, he was a Cy Young Award winner, and I think they decide to pick guys that they want to be villains or guys that they think that is going to make, you know, noise, right? Alex Rodriguez, before all this stuff came out, was, you know, he's a Hall of Famer, right? Like, I mean, he's Alex Rodriguez, and I just think that sometimes they decide and want to pick out villains. And
don't you want a villain in baseball? Why? Alex Rodriguez is a villain. Don't you want him in baseball? Don't you want those guys? If Trevor Bauer's a villain, then get him in baseball. Let
absolutely, because you have the guys like Ohtani who, like, does no wrong, right? Like, yeah. I mean, that's what creates a lot, even more, you know, viewership, right? It's like you look at all this stuff and it's just like there's villains everywhere, man. And it's just like that's what provides entertainment, because in the grand scheme of things, the lights come on, there's 40,000 people, we're the entertainers, right? Like, so it's like you have entertainment, but it's like you're pushing guys out or you're not giving guys the same opportunity. It's like, why not give Bauer a chance again, right? Like, why the fuck not?
What did he do, Justin? He didn't do anything.
Exactly.
He was accused of something he never did. What makes him a villain? He never killed anybody. He never murdered anybody. So what is it? Alex Rodriguez never killed anybody. I don't understand. He did steroids.
Have you not seen Trevor Bauer's interviews though?
Yes.
Yeah, he's crazy. So are half the players in the major leagues. They're
No.
all
Well, we're all nuts in our own way. I
everybody is
agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, do you understand what comes with having to deal with Trevor Bauer? I was a teammate of his, and it wasn't fun. And now on top of it, adding that layer is really, really hard. And when you do that, and it comes with it, because then you have to continue to answer questions about one guy. And at the end of the day, do you really care? Yeah, you do, because you don't want to have we're not the NFL where we have Tuesday and Thursday where we're only allowed to the media. They can come to us every day. I'm not taking anything away from his talent and his ability.
Right.
But what comes with that, and Justin, you've been around and understand, like, when you have to answer those questions sometimes, even though it's not necessarily about you, I think there just carries a little bit of weight on what it brings to the dynamic of the team and what he's done. And I don't care what you do in your personal life, but when it becomes public and what you do, it affects a clubhouse. And you know how when a clubhouse gets affected, and we've talked about this on the show a lot of times.
It's a distraction that nobody wants to deal with every day.
Why did everybody brush Shohei Ohtani's crap under the rug? This guy knew what was going on, and nobody's speaking about it. Why? Because he won a World Series, because he had a 50-50 season, he's an MVP, and baseball just brushed it under the rug because they paid the FBI to brush it under the rug. You don't think they paid the FBI to in 2 weeks?
See, you can't speak nonsense because you don't know that.
Nonsense. It's not.
Okay, so give me the fact of Major League Baseball paying the FBI.
How do you not know that there's $19 million missing out of your bank? How do you not know? You're going to tell me, oh, Joba, you're going to tell me if you had $19 million, you didn't know where it went?
Show me.
Joba, I'm asking you, if you had $19 million and it magically disappeared, you wouldn't know where it went?
No, I would know, but show me. You can't say Major League Baseball paid them off. You can't say that.
I'm going to say because Rob Manfred's a piece of garbage. That's what I'm going to say. And I know he's all about his superstars. That's what he cares about. He knows that Shohei Ohtani is one of the top 3 superstars in all of baseball. You can argue he is the number 1 superstar in baseball, and he doesn't want to.
He's all of sports.
Not about all sports.
He's in top 5.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
because he's global, dog.
I guess. I mean, there's a lot of big basketball players too, man. So I don't know.
You got Ronaldo, Messi, all these guys too. But
there are too. But
why do you know how much money he makes in Japan? Like, are you serious?
That's fine. But I'm looking at guys that basketball right now, they have the most following when it comes to social media and all that other stuff. You have LeBron James, you have Luka Doncic, you have these guys. They're superstars. Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, that's why they're global.
I understand. So do I think Shohei Ohtani's a top 5 fan favorite in the world? I don't know. I would have to look at the numbers.
Ohtani's dog has more followers than 90% of the United States of America.
I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm going to tell you right now, there is probably about 15 to 20 NBA players that have more followers when it comes to, when it comes to their sport than Shohei Ohtani does in every single social media that he has. I'm willing to bet you.
I wouldn't go that far.
You want to bet? Let's bet. What do you want to bet?
You wouldn't take my bet on the Dodgers winning.
I know it to be true, so I'm going to win. So let's go.
Okay, so fine, but I'll take the bet. What do you want? What do you want to bet?
What do you want to bet? I'll bet you.
But what are you saying?
I'm saying that there's probably right now, I could say there's 5 NBA players, 10 NBA players, probably 15 NBA players that have more of a following on social media than Shohei Ohtani.
Just on one platform or all over?
All over.
You're saying there's 20.
I say between 10 and 15. Just NBA. Just NBA.
You make the bet. I'll take it.
That's what I'm waiting to hear. I'm waiting to hear what the bet is.
I don't know.
Are you taking Ohtani and his dog?
His dog. What the hell do I want him for his dog for?
Because that's Ohtani's dog. Why is his dog famous? That's the same thing.
Give me a break. His dog. Get out of here. His dog. That's what we're having fun with. Shea Ohtani's dog.
In the fall, but it's why is his dog? Why?
I don't know.
Because Ohtani's his dog.
Good, his dog. Shea Ohtani's dog. Wonderful.
Well, it counts. So whatever you want to bet. Fish. Okay, so Justin, Fish has an answer. Just on Instagram.
Yep.
Just on Instagram. Is this a bet, Errol? Are you making this bet before?
No, he hasn't made a bet yet.
It's a bet. Go. What is it?
Errol, you were exactly right. There are 15 NBA players with more followers than Shohei Ohtani. Exactly.
Damn it, that's
15.
why I tried to get it to 20.
You were exactly right. Pretty good.
I didn't know that.
Is that
Ohtani
including,
has 8.7 million followers.
is that including
LeBron's
his
like
dog,
150.
though?
I didn't look up his dog. All I know is I see him in the pictures of the dog. My wife enjoys those pictures a lot.
So if you're including the dog, I bet he's in the top 15.
Screw his dog. Speedy can follow his dog. Speedy likes dogs. He likes his ass licked by his dog. Right, Speedy?
Justin, do not get that twisted.
Did he not lick your ass?
Yeah, Justin, don't get it twisted.
Hey, listen, I've been in a lot of clubhouses. No judgment on my part, I promise.
None.
Don't let him manipulate.
Not at all.
Claim that I encouraged it, because that's what he's going to claim.
It's all. Hey, man, I've seen a lot of things in the clubhouse, so no judgment on my end.
Well, I'm just speaking the truth here.
Hopefully there weren't anything involved with any of the fish tank in the Marlins stadium that they had at the time. Was that really built when you were there? Like all the aquarium stuff?
No, I think they got rid of it. Well, honestly, I can't remember. They've made so many changes there.
I know they got rid of it recently. I didn't know if they had it in where you were there, because they kept modifying that stadium. They got rid of the home run statue, obviously, that people were.
Yeah, that was like, it almost was like a little carnival thing out in the outfield. But they kept making modifications every year. I mean, at one point they brought the outfield in, shortened the fence a little bit. Obviously there's a Cleveland there's a nightclub out there, so it's Miami. There's always some crazy thing is though. It's the funniest thing. There's two things about that stadium, especially because there was not a lot of fans out there. If you weren't pitching well, so when I was starting, if you weren't pitching well, you could hear the full bullpen phone ringing, and like they're getting somebody hot, and it's like
that's the worst sound you could ever hear.
Yeah, like it's like I'm in the middle of the
worst
game.
Sound you could ever hear.
I just got an out, and I was like, all right, like I know like we're in a tough spot, but like I can hear the bullpen, and then there were sometimes you could hear the Clevelander rocking, which I mean that just goes to show you how not many fans were at those games.
Nah. That's interesting.
I was actually there the year before when they were still playing in the football stadium in 2011. But I saw like all the construction. They were hyping it up. They had all this posters. Like it was supposed to be this futuristic big deal stadium at that time. I remember that. And I'm a Mets fan, so I obviously was rooting for the Mets. And there were a lot of Mets fans there. And like you were saying, like it's been that way for quite a while. And it's a sad state of where Florida baseball.
But that's interesting when you're in the bullpen. I've never played in the major leagues, but I'm sure you hear a lot of crazy things in the bullpen by the fans and some of the disgusting things they've said to you. I mean, just think about it. I mean, Justin, could you give us a story that you can remember for a fan that said something to you that just absolutely pissed you the F off?
Let me ask him before he answers that. Is it a true story when they built the new stadium that they moved the home bullpen and the visiting bullpen because they could see the girls getting dressed at the Clevelander? Is that a true story?
Yeah. So the original home bullpen was in left field because like in dugout start base side. Well, then we were like, all right, well, they wanted the Clevelander to be distracted for the away team, so they ended up making the change to.
Oh, so that was true.
Yeah. So we ended up. The dugout was on the third base side, but bullpen was all the way out in right field. So they made a switch, so the visitors had to deal with the Clevelander.
Oh, all right.
That's interesting. I never.
And as far as the story, oh man, Joba, you can maybe attest to this too. I don't know.
One that you can say without names.
Yeah,
involved.
I don't have that one then. I would say Philadelphia was probably like the most where I was warming up. I'll kind of just give you like I won't say what he said, but I'm in there warming up, and I can't imagine this kid was more than 17, 18 years old. And Philly's bullpen, the away bullpen, we're on top. Philly's down below. So fans are right above us. They can look over. They're chirping. They're talking their shit. And I'm getting loose for the game. And, you learn how to tune stuff out. Like, you learn how to listen, but you also know, like, oh, okay, cool. That was good. Like, you can hear some shit. And he said something to me, and I threw the pitch. And after he said it, I looked up at him. And instead of like getting mad, I just kind of took my cap off to him and tipped it to him. I was like, hey, that was a good one. Like, I was so locked in. Normally, you're locked in for a game. You don't talk, you don't say nothing. He said, I took my hat off. I was like, hey, that's pretty good, man. But I wouldn't say that again to somebody else. That's for damn sure.
It's funny. On the show last year, we had a Nationals relief pitcher, Amos Willingham is his name. And he was saying, like, when he played in Philly, because I think that was one of his first games in baseball, he was hearing 7-year-olds say swear words.
Oh, man. Like, that's what makes Philadelphia. Like, their sports fan base is, like, one of the best, right? Like, they're diehards.
Joba hates them.
They don't.
No, they're passionate. I will say that.
They really are. And, like, honestly, it was one of the funnest places to pitch in. I mean, I didn't like the pitching in the cold there. I had some good games there and some god-awful ones. And when you have god-awful ones, the next day, they'll let you hear about it too. They don't let you forget.
Okay, you say that. Where was your worst play? Like, I absolutely sucked in Anaheim. I sucked. Where was your one place that you were like, you knew going in, even if you felt good, even if it was anything, you knew you're like, something bad's going to happen?
Washington.
Ooh, Washington.
I don't know why. Like, I
don't know why. Anaheim's a great pitcher stadium, but I sucked donkey balls.
Yeah, no.
That was awful.
It didn't matter if we were in Washington or in Miami.
They're pretty big balls, right, Speedy?
I had no idea. Like, I enjoy pitching in Colorado, which people hate. Like, I like Colorado. Like, loved LA. Love pitching in New York. I love pitching at Citi Field. Like, I love that. I mean, but Washington, man, I don't know what it was. There was just like Joba, like what you said. I would be like, oh, man, I feel great. I'm dialed in. Pre-start bullpen during the week was just we had a good plan going into it. I'm like, oh, this is great. Man, that shit went right out the door the moment I stepped on the damn field. It was like,
100%.
Here we go. Like, it didn't matter. Here we go.
I remember because I'm a Met fan. I remember you in 2015 when you came up. It was you and Fernandez, and I think Henderson Alvarez was the other youngster on that team.
Yeah.
And I thought that team was going to be really good. Even though the Mets went to the World Series that year, I was actually more afraid of you than I was of the Mets at the time.
I think that was the year that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was the year that they traded for Cespedes too. Am I right?
He came from Detroit.
Right.
Literally and like the last minute of the deadline.
That's the year he was going off with all the homers. And I was one of those homers, third deck at Citi Field, which it was one of those things where, like, Joba, this too, is like
I was at that game, by the way.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
because you were facing us in Detroit.
Oh my God, dude. I kid you not, man. That guy, that was one of those ones. That was one of those hitters where it was like, either hit a homer or I punched him out. And it was I didn't punch him.
He was stupid, freakishly strong.
Oh my
God. It was dumb.
God. Yeah. He just had like that country strong.
If you could see him hit a golf ball, and he smoked Marlboro Reds before every game.
Oh, I played golf with him in Jupiter. One spring training. Oh man.
Stupid.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he did have at times he had a foot wedge. Sometimes when he couldn't find the ball, but hey, he'd hit like a 2 or 3 iron, 275 yards.
Dude,
absolute bullet.
Interesting. Before we let you go, Mr. Justin, tell us a little bit about Tread Athletics. I heard you're doing some big things over there.
Yeah, no. So it's a remote baseball company, man. Like they've grown in the last 9 years. They started in 2015, and as everyone knows, internet, social media is taking off, and as internet and everything was starting to take off with social media, they just got into the remote coaching type of stuff. They built a really good template. Cohen, our CEO, and Ben Brewster, those two started it on their own, and they've grown to where I'm now coaching. And I'll be honest with you, it's tough because the things that I know now, if I knew that back then, holy shit, right? Like, because all the information, like, we got a lot of information when we played, right? There was a scouting report. You kind of got word of mouth of hitters. You watch video, stuff like that. But now, man, you click a button, you have everything you could possibly ask for. And at times, the hardest part of the job for me is I come from the old school a little bit, where all this data analytics stuff is still taking some time to learn. But it's really cool because now I'm able to even go back and look at numbers in myself and be like, oh, no shit, no reason why I got released. That makes sense. Instead of being like, oh, okay, like this doesn't make sense. But no, it's really awesome. I'm getting to help the next generation. And I'm getting to use a little bit of my aspect in the field in the old school, but also this new generation, right? Like, everything is so data and analytical driven. And I try to just give any knowledge that I can and any understanding that, man, this shit isn't an overnight success story, even though that's sometimes what is put out there, right? Like, that's the hard part about this is, you sign up for a place like this that has become very popular. And, sometimes I see there's quick fixes, but there's not, man. Like, so it's just really cool to watch guys be able to write their own story and just be a small part of that and be able to help them in any facet of it, right? Whether it's like I got a couple guys, I got a guy, and I'll reference his name, Dwayne Underwood Jr. He's in the big leagues, 2023, got released this past year, but it was cool because he's my age and, he's still trying to play. But we had a skull session, right? We had a little sit down with a couple of the other athletes we had. And we just kind of I was like, hey, man, tell me what's going on with you, where you're at. And like, just letting these young guys be able to listen and understand the the verbiage, but also understand what it's like to just live that life, right? When it's literally your everyday life, your job, the way you put food on your plate, the way you provide for your family. Like, yes, it's still a game, but at the same time, it's your job. So it's a really cool experience, and I really enjoy getting to help these younger cats.
Well,
okay. Hold on. Before we go, can I ask you a question too? My son's a freshman in college.
Yep.
And like, he doesn't listen to his dad, so I'm out of the question. Like, I'm out of the question. It doesn't matter what I did. What do you think it literally, like, for that on the online platform, because they're all tied to their phones or whatever, how do you think that applies to them more so? Because I'm old school where I'm one-on-one. Like, I need to see things. I need to do that. How do you think that platform allows them, like, and are they allowed to send videos in so you guys can digress them and do all that other stuff too? Like,
yeah.
I just, that's what
so
my son's going through. So
that's the job. That's the toughest part of my job. It's like there's a blueprint. You're the blueprint. I can see it. I can see the pieces that we have to link, right? But I was always the feel, right? Like, I remember, and I tell guys all the time, it's like, hey, something's going on, I'll meet you at the 6-pack at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. We're going to hammer some shit out, right? Where the feels, the conversation. Because, like, in my head, when I'm explaining it and trying to show them, it makes sense, right? But I can't feel for my athletes. But the cool thing about it is they're able to send video in, like, so you have, your bullpens, your, let's say, pull downs, or your, plyo routines, whatever the case may be. It's like, send me that video. I'm able to dissect it, give you a few pointers, right? See, like, hey, so when I'm doing a breakdown, it's like, hey, all right, man, like, you're really jumping out of that. You're pushing out of that back hip. Think about finding that heel and create more of that hinge. Like, the biggest thing to always create is, like, when you're creating a hinge or you're going into RDL or deadlift, being able to use examples that might make or help an athlete or a kid, oh shit, that kind of clicks now, instead of just like, you're typing and giving him a response back like, oh yeah, hey, you're doing this, but like you're not really showing him, because that's what I do, right? A lot of these coaches that I work with, man, they're quick witty with it. Like they see something and they can tell it, spit it off to a guy. What I'll do is I'll take my phone and I'll set up the tripod at work, and I'll pretty much run through what I saw my guy doing, emulate that, and be like, hey, this is what I want you to focus on.
On the video.
Yeah. Either on FaceTime or me taking a video and sending it back to my athlete. So I have a couple guys that I work with that they'll schedule weekly FaceTimes, and they'll send me all their videos, and we'll do a live FaceTime of like, I'll pull up the video, we'll go over it. And then we just dissect it, and then we hit it right there. And then next week, see how it progresses. And I've had a guy that in this last month has like literally taken off through the roof just from that.
Interesting. It's very interesting. By the way, Justin, we really appreciate the time. I know you're busy. You're doing. Listen, I've read a couple of things about Tread Athletics. It's growing astronomically, and you're one of the big reasons why. So we really appreciate the time, and we'd love to get you on a lot sooner than later in the near future.
Hey, anytime. Like I said, I'll love to come in here and listen to you guys talk and be involved anytime. So you just let me know, and I'll come on again for sure.
Hey, can I get a free membership?
No, I don't have one.
Okay. No, that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I got a gym membership there. That's about it. No, I'm just kidding. Nah, man, but no, it's really cool, and it's special to be a part of. But
No,
I appreciate y'all having me on, man, for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Justin.
All right, talk to you guys soon.
Justin Nicolino, ladies and gentlemen, former pitcher for the Miami Marlins, 13 years in the major leagues. Fantastic personality. He's been on our show before. He's a good person, man. So happy to have him on. And look, Joba actually remembers playing against the same team and the Marlins when he played for Detroit.